And I remember sitting, and it was in the evening. I was sitting at the Silver Spur in Pierre, and I remember looking up and watching the crowd, and I can hear the music. I can see the smoke. I see people laughing and dancing and everything going on around them. And I remember so distinctly saying, God, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore.
Stai Gute. Welcome, my friends, to The Storyteller, where you'll find First Nations people from across Native North America who are following Jesus Christ without reservation. Can you relate to what you've just heard? Are you tired of the way you're living? Or do you know someone who is? Then you won't want to miss what Chug Garreau from the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe has to say.
My name is Faye Allen Garreau. Those who know me on the reservation all my life know me as Chug. And that has been my name since I was a wee little boy. Not because of the things I'd done in my grown-up years, but because my grandfather said I was a chubby little baby, so I chug-a-lugged along, and Chug has been my name since that time. I grown up and was raised on the Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation in the Eagle Butte area. My parents were ranchers. My grandfather and grandmother were ranchers, and I grew up in a lifestyle of ranching and rodeo when I was younger. I learned how to ride when I was very young. When I was born, my mother had bought me a saddle, and so I grew up on horseback. I grew up working with cows. I grew up stories of the Old West, and enjoyed life out in the country and all the benefits of that. In my family, I'm the oldest of 8 children, and things where I remember, Mom working very hard to make ends meet when we were kids, and I don't know how she did it, but I realized that she had put a lot of effort into taking care of the kids, and Dad also. Growing up when I was younger, it was not all things were good for us. And even though we were there as a family and we had a home and a place to go to out in the country and to enjoy the outdoors, I do know that alcohol was very much part of our family. And I've never seen my mother drink, but I know that Dad drank. And I remember looking up to all of those older men in the rodeos and ranching, and everybody drank back then. And it's something that even today that kids want to do, and we thought that was a symbol of our manhood if we could drink when we were younger, but it caused a lot of problems. I remember, Dad doing the best he can, but yet he was good in the rodeos and good in ranching and knew a lot of things, but alcohol was taking its toll on the family, and we had to run from him at times, and Mom would take care of us, and those are scary times for us kids. And I know for me, because on one hand you see Dad there, but you see him acting under the influence of alcohol, and that was not good. I can look back on this and see how what it has done to Dad, and what it had done to influence my life. But I guess I also need to mention at this time is that Dad hasn't drank for over 15 years now. And, the things, the changes that have been made in his life are just tremendous. And he's such an advocate against alcohol and what it can do to families, and I'm very, very proud of him for that. And, I'm thankful that, that God has kept him alive to experience the life that I know that he would have desired to experience even more when he was younger. But those early times are tough, and a lot of alcohol involved, and a lot of running, a lot of fear that we had experienced because of alcohol. There was fighting and arguments in our home, and nobody desires that, but alcohol was having its effect upon us. I know myself, there was within that, there was also, in the midst of those times, there was also, influences of the church. I remember as a kid, wanting to go to church, not really understanding why, but knowing that even at a young age that church seemed to be a place of security. And then later on in life, as I got older, just adopting the ways of the adults around me, and drinking and smoking and getting into high school, and just really, suddenly, beginning to experiment with marijuana and then other drugs. How, I look back now and see how it really, changed my way of thinking, and especially as getting into those rebellious years and wanting to do things of my own, that alcohol didn't mix with my father and I. And we ended up getting into a fight, and I moved out. It must have been around my junior year of high school, and moved in with a friend of mine. And I went on to graduate high school, living at his place, but still alcohol and drugs were pretty much an everyday part of my life. And they just, my cousins were there. We'd all do these, we would all be partying together, and I look back and see the effects that it has upon, some of those individuals today, because they're still doing that. And I know they must be hurting, because I was hurting back then, and I wanted change. And again, as I look back on that, during those times, there were people within our community who I didn't know were Christians at the time, but there was something different about them, and I was drawn to that, but I didn't know how to approach it. And during those times, I didn't know what Christianity was. I knew there was churches and that we were supposed to go. So we did have a little bit of formal background in a church, but I knew something was different, and part of me wanted to be with them, but yet just hanging out with the other kids that just stayed involved in alcohol and the drugs, and things didn't go well. I remember after high school, leaving, living with a year with my uncles down in Arizona. Things didn't change. There's still the rodeos and the drinking and the drugs, and returning and then going into the military in 1978, and going through basic training and going over to Germany, and the idea of experiencing Europe over there. Again, just the things in the military were exciting. They did a lot for exposing me to the things of the world and how to become more independent of myself. But just the alcohol and the drugs still continued, the use even over there. I look back on that with regrets, because I see that we could have been so much better in the work that we had done if those things hadn't been a part of it. But my life changed from being being active in rodeos and ranching to being in the military and still just kind of very wild and rebellious. I got back from Germany and went down to Fort Hood, Texas. At that time, I bought myself a Harley Davidson, and the only attitude I had on my mind was ride hard, die free, and running around with others that were living that same life. And again, just the drinking, the drugs was very much a part of my lifestyle. And returned home and met my wife and Karen, and felt that there was direction. Felt like there was direction now in my life, and through that, we weren't married, but we were living together, and then she became pregnant with our firstborn son, and we got married. It just felt that was the right thing to do, but my own lifestyle was still a part of it. I wanted to devote more time it seemed like to riding and my bike and my friends and drinking than I did to my family. And over time, it eroded our relationship, and I began to, be attracted to other women, and I committed adultery on my wife, and I knew that was wrong, and not knowing how to get out of it, and we separated, and it felt like I was losing everything, and we were able to get back together again over time, and I said I was going to change and make those changes, but again, it just, those things just were there. They were, the running around, the drinking was taking a toll upon my life, and a big change came in April 13th, 1985. My wife was going into labor, and we took her down to Pierre to the hospital. And while we were down there, she gave birth to our second son. And I used the excuse that I had another son to just go out and to drink, and I see that I look back and I see how God was about ready to answer a prayer of mine. And I remember sitting in it was in the evening. I was sitting at the Silver Spur in Pierre, and I remember looking up and watching the crowd, and I can hear the music, I can see the smoke, I see people laughing and dancing and everything going on around them, and I remember so distinctly saying, God, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. And I walked out of the bar, and I got in my uncle's pickup, and about 10 minutes later I was stopped and picked up for DWI. And I spent the night in jail, and the next day they let me out. Well, by that time I was beginning to feel the deep remorse for my actions.
Well, we're out of time, but you can be sure that there are better days ahead for Chug. What about you? Are you tired of the way you're living? That's an important place to be if things are going to change. But let's face it, we need more than change. We need forgiveness. The Bible tells us that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and that the wages of sin is death, an eternal, painful separation from our holy and just Creator. But in His great love and mercy, God has made a way for us to be forgiven. That's what Jesus Christ, the cross, and the empty tomb are all about. When we place our trust in Him, He forgives us, saves us, and gives us the power to change. Want to know more? Write to us at The Storyteller, P.O. Box 1001, Bemidji, Minnesota, 56619. That's P.O. Box 1001, Bemidji, Minnesota, 56619. Our phone number is 877-766-4648. That's 877-766-4648. We're also online at withoutreservation.com. Thanks for listening. And remember, the greatest story took place at the cross. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. There's more to Chug's story, and you won't want to miss it. So please join us again next time as we listen to The Storyteller.